Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Lisa and this is Growing on Vancouver Island. Today we're going to do another seed starting project, another sowing seeds in milk jugs. And today I've got a variety of seeds and I'll show you what we're going to plant. So here are the seeds that we're going to be planting today. From Baker Creek Seeds, we have some butternut squash. From Mackenzie Seeds, there's spaghetti squash. Another Mackenzie Seeds, we have honeydew melon green flesh variety. And then from Burpee Seeds, we have honey rock cantelope, melon. And then from Burpee Seeds, we have perennial echinacea, also known as purple coneflower. Another Burpee Seeds, we have rudbecka black-eyed Susan, also a perennial. And then from Mr. Frothergill Seeds, we have perennial lavender. This one is called Hidcock Blue Strain. So let's start planting. So I'm going to start with filling a milk jug that I have already prepared with soil. So what you want to do to prepare is you want to cut an incision sort of underneath the handle of the milk jug so that it opens up like this. It does not matter if your milk jug stays connected or not. If it does, that's great. If it doesn't, you're going to secure it with duct tape anyway, so that doesn't really matter too much. And then at the bottom, you want to make some drainage holes. You can see I've made a few holes. You can use any type of cutting tool that you're comfortable using. I like to use an X-Acto knife, but it really doesn't matter if you have sharp scissors or something else, a knife that you like to use, that might work as well. And then you just start filling your milk jug with your desired soil. Ideally, you want to use a seed starting mix or a soil that's light and airy. You don't want any soils that are too dense. So I'm going to just start with filling my milk jug with my soil. I'm going to start with planting my butternut squash seeds in here. So you want to fill your container about 1/2 to 3/4 full of your desired soil. So when I started watermelon in my previous video, using this method, didn't add any kind of fertilizer amendments to my soil mix. But this time I thought just for fun, I would add a little bit of granular kelp, just a small amount, and mix it in. And I don't know if it'll make any difference, but maybe it'll give the seeds a better start. Who knows? Let's give it a try. Just a little handful, and I'll just mix it into the soil. This is the granular kelp that I'm using. So I'm just going to mix that in. And just to give you an idea of how much soil is in my container, that's sort of a visual image. And now I am going to, before I forget, label my container with butternut squash. I'm just using a regular old Sharpie permanent marker. And I'm going to write butternut squash. And now I'm going to go ahead and plant some seeds. I'm going to put probably 4 seeds in this container, 1 in each corner. Oh, I just lost a seed. And I am going to top dress my seeds with vermiculite. I learned this trick from Laura on Garden Answer. Apparently, vermiculite is really useful for preventing any kind of molds or mildews or buildup, and seeds tend to do well in a top dressing of vermiculite. So we'll just put a little bit on top, and that's the vermiculite. If you've actually, let me show you a visual. If you've never seen vermiculite before, it's kind of a powdery, granular substance, very light. And then we're just gonna water it in. And if you're not aware, I live in the Pacific Northwest on Vancouver Island, and we get a lot of rain here. So after this initial watering, I really won't need to water these, possibly even until they get planted out in the landscape garden. I may need to do a little bit of watering, maybe mid to late April, but probably not much because we get so much rain here. So now I'm just going to close this up with some duct tape. And that's pretty much all there is to it. There's my finished product, and it will join my watermelon seedlings in their home outside. And hopefully in a month or two, we'll have some nice strong seedlings to plant in the landscape. So now we're gonna plant the rest of our seeds. So I have another pre-cut milk jug. Cantaloupe seeds in this milk jug. So I'm going to start with filling my container with soil. So I've got about 1/2 to 3/4 of a container of soil. Now I'm going to label my jug with cantaloupe. And once again, I'm going to plant 4 seeds in here. Actually, I think I'm going to put my granular kelp in again and just give it a little more nutrition. And now I will plant just 4 seeds, 1 in each corner. Maybe 5, maybe I'll stick 1 in the middle. So now we'll water it in. Oh, we're going to top dress with some vermiculite first. And now we will water it in. And close it up. And that is all for this container. And we will move on to another seed. This time we're going to do the lavender. And I'm going to do the lavender a little bit different than I've done my cantaloupe and squash. I have tried to grow lavender from seed before. I tried to grow it from seed in the landscape once or twice previously, and I didn't get any that sprouted. And I'm kind of wondering if lavender needs more of a sandy, gravelly type of soil probably to sprout and flourish, I would imagine. I've grown lavender many times from starter plants and they do quite well, but I've never been able to grow it from seed. I've had my plants produce babies, but I've never grown them from seed myself. So this time I'm going to mix my soil with a little bit of a combination. I've got these two types of gravel from our local dollar store. This is kind of a more coarse gravel, and I have a fine gravel. Not even a gravel, it's more of a sand. They call it gravel, but it's a sand. And I'm going to mix that into my soil, as well as I think I'm going to mix vermiculite into the soil a little bit, as well as on the top, to see if that gives me better results than I had when I planted it directly in a soily, mulchy kind of mixture in the landscape. So we'll give it a try. I think I'll start with labeling lavender this time. This is the first time I've ever grown a flower in a milk jug. Actually, all this year is the first time I've used milk jugs, but I'm really interested to see how the flowers are going to do. We're going to do a few flowers here. So we'll start with filling our milk jugs with soil. And I'm not going to go totally full with soil, because we're going to add a little bit of fine gravel and some coarse gravel as well. And some vermiculite. Let's just make quite a mixture of stuff here and mix it in. And I'm kind of going to do this in layers. I'm going to go like bottom, middle, and top layer to sort of get a good mixture going in this container. So put more soil in. And some more gravel. And coarse gravel. And some vermiculite. And add the top layer of soil and the other goods. Gonna go just with this one and maybe the vermiculite this time. I'm thinking lavender probably doesn't want to go too deep into the soil. Maybe it says on the package. So 3 millimeters, a quarter or an eighth of an inch deep. So probably not too deep. I'll just mix that in a little bit. And let's open this package. And this time I'm actually going to put this whole package of seeds into this milk jug. I think they're pretty tiny. Oh yes, they're very, very tiny little seeds. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but so tiny. And I'm just going to sprinkle them in and hope that something germinates for me. Cover with vermiculite again, just a very light dusting, and water them in. And close it up. So that is ready for its outdoor lifestyle. And we will move on to the next milk jug. hangnail. Take that one. So the next seed we're going to plant is the rudbecka, also known as black-eyed Susan. I've actually never grown these at all in any yard that I've ever had, from seed or as plants, so I really don't know much about growing them, but we are going to give it a try. This one says to sow seeds 0.6 of a centimeter deep, so pretty close to the surface, similar to the lavender. And I'm thinking probably going to do mostly soil and maybe a little bit of vermiculite mixed into the interior part of the container. So that should be adequate soil, and I'm gonna just mix in my vermiculite. Kind of knead it in like you're making cookie dough or something. And we'll put in our seeds. I have no idea how big these ones are. I think maybe a little bit bigger than my lavender. Oh, they're tiny. Slightly bigger than my other seeds. I'll try to show you on camera. I don't know how well camera picks that up. They're about double the size of a lavender seed, and I think I'm gonna put them all in again. That might be a mistake because actually I'm gonna save it. There's a few left in there. There's quite a lot of seeds in here, probably like 50 to 100 at least, so I think that's more than enough. I'll probably have to thin them if they do sprout. So we'll just water them in, close it up. Give it a label. Dropped my pen. So that one is Black-eyed Susan. And that is now ready for its outside world venture. Next, we are going to plant the honeydew melon. I have grown honeydew before. I've never tried to grow it from seed. I grew it just once from a starter plant, and I did get a honeydew, one single melon, and it was super delicious. So I'm gonna hope that that grows. The melons here are all kind of similar to watermelon. They're all difficult to grow. I think watermelon is probably the most difficult, but the other melons aren't easy either. So it's always a victorious situation when you actually get one or two little melons from your plant. So we're gonna put in some vermiculite, just mix it right in, and this time I'm going to add my granular kelp once again for a little bit more nutrition. Label my container. And plant my seeds. One in each corner. And water it in. So next we are going to plant the spaghetti squash. And I think this will be our final milk jug of the day. So for this one, we are going to use our starter mix, vermiculite, and my granular kelp once again. I'll give this a little trimming. There we go. That's better. If you have grown fruits or vegetables or flowers in milk jugs, please comment down below and tell me what plants, flowers, fruits you have the most success with sowing in milk jugs. I would love to know your thoughts. This is my first year sowing anything in milk jugs, so I'm hoping for some amount of success. And we'll add some kelp. And now we're ready to label spaghetti squash. I have grown spaghetti squash a couple of times and I do get quite good results. And I believe I grew them from seed in the landscape once and they did turn out well. But I'm aiming for early produce this year, so we're gonna start in the milk jugs. So we'll water it in. And close it up. So that's going to be all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Have a lovely afternoon.